Well, good evening. Welcome to Tuesday Night Bible Study. Thank you for joining us, all of you out there on Facebook. So we are actually going to start tonight first. We are in the period of the counting of the Omer. So I'm just going to start off with we've been looking at the daily exercises for each day of the counting of the Omer. And so today is the 24th day, but we're going to be going into the 25th day for tomorrow. So we're going to do tomorrow's. So it's the 25th day of the Omer, which is day 4 of week 4. And it's the week of endurance. And actually, this ended up kind of being perfect because this will go right along with what the main topic of my Bible study is going to be about. But so tomorrow's examination and exercise of the day is examine the endurance aspect of endurance, its expression and intensity. Everyone has willpower and determination. We have the capacity to endure much more than we can imagine and to prevail under the most trying of circumstances. So remember that part where we have the capacity to endure much more than we can imagine, because that's going to fit perfectly right along with my Bible study. You know, sometimes we think we can only handle so much, but the truth is we can go so much more past that. You know, the devil tries to get us to think that, you know, we can't endure a lot, that we're not strong enough to handle this. You know, situations and circumstances come up and he tries to wear you down. But you know what? We're a lot stronger than we think. And but that's actually, I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So we have the capacity to endure much more than we can imagine and to prevail under the most trying of circumstances. Ask yourself, is my behavior erratic? Am I inconsistent and unreliable? Since I have will and determination, why am I so mercurial? Am I afraid of assessing my endurance and committing? Do I fear being trapped by my commitment? If yes, why? Is it a reaction to some past trauma? Instead of cultivating endurance in healthy areas, have I developed a capacity for endurance of unhealthy experiences? Do I endure more pain than pleasure? Do I underestimate my capacity to endure? And the exercise for tomorrow is commit yourself to developing a new good habit. So let's focus on that one part of this just for a second. And one of the questions that it said to ask yourself is, you know, do I fear being trapped by my commitment? You know, a lot of people, when it comes to commitment, it can be a challenging thing. You know, when you make a commitment to, well, what do we think of most of the times? When you make a commitment to another person. You know, when you're committed to somebody, you know, people have this thing they have a tendency to fear commitment. Because what comes with commitment? With true commitment comes a transparency and a vulnerability. You know, it's like you're going to, you know, think of that one person and you're going to let yourself be open to them. You know, you're going to let them see everything that is about you. And a lot of times we think to ourselves, are they going to be approving of this? You know, what are they going to think? How are they going to feel? Is this something that, you know, they might reject? Is it something that they're going to like? You know, and that's a big thing that a lot of people deal with is the whole rejection aspect. You know, so for me personally, I mean, who's, you know, the most important person that I'm going to think of in that area would be my husband, obviously. You know, everybody has their one person or whatever. But it's like, you know, examine yourself how are we when it comes to commitments? You know, and I thought that question was just so like strong and viable for now, because it's like, how do we handle things? You know, do we handle things? And most of the times, most of us do. Do we handle things in a way because that's what our experience was? You know, like the next question after that was it because of something in your past? Did you experience something in your past? Was there something bad that you experienced in your past? Was it some type of, you know, like it said, trauma or whatever? And a lot of times, unfortunately, that dictates a person during the journey of their life. But it's not supposed to. We need to break ourselves from that unhealthy journey, because that's the devil trying to stop us from breaking forward. From breaking forward into who we're really been called to be, who we really are. You know, so I encourage you for that one that tomorrow, you know, really dive into that and examine yourself and see where it is, where there might be things that, yeah, I don't do this because of the fear of that. I don't do this because I experienced this years ago, and I'm still allowing it to impact me. And really, we shouldn't be. Dad used to say all the time, and Mom has said it too, you're not that little girl anymore. You're not that little boy anymore. Whatever may have happened to you, everybody has something happen to them. Everybody does. You're not the only one. You're not the only person that's been through things and have had people do or say things. Everybody has done it, but each person has a choice to make on how they're going to respond to it, how they're going to handle it, how they're going to move from it. You can either make the choice to be like, a lot of times victim mentality type of stuff, and well, I'm the victim, and you don't know what they did to me, and woe is me type of thing. Well, you know what? It's been 30 years. Get over it type of thing, And I'm speaking to myself, but I'm speaking to everybody. Everybody's been through life, but it's all in how we handle it. And like I said, we all have a choice to make, and we need to make the right choice when it comes to that. We need to be able to make the right choice so that we're not allowing the enemy to stop us from progressing, to stop us from moving on into the plan of Yahweh. Because ultimately, what is happening is, you're going with that in a negative way, and the enemy's being successful. He's delaying you and preventing you from walking out in the fullness of what Yahweh has called you to be, the fullness of what the plan of Yahweh is for you. So, but with saying that, with endurance, interestingly, I had come up with my Bible study last night before I had looked at the Omer for tomorrow. And when I saw the Omer for tomorrow, it was like, oh, wow, this really goes right in. Because when you think of endurance, what else do you think of? You think of strength. And in these days, the days that we're in, we really need to know how to be strong and stay strong in these times. So we're gonna talk about limitless strength, because that's who God is. That's who Yahweh is. Yahweh is the God of limitless strength. He's the God who is able to do anything and everything. And because we are made in His image and likeness, we have the same ability. As He is, so are we in this world. Yeshua said we'd do the same works as Him and greater. So, and interestingly too, my two main scriptures that I was going to focus on tonight came up in research that I was doing, and it was the same two scriptures that these different people had used for their stuff. So limitless strength. I'm going to read you this for the start, and it's based off of Isaiah 40, 29 through 31. And I know Jordan and I have talked about this scripture a few times over the last few weeks, and this scripture is just lately, over the last couple of weeks, has just really been being highlighted to me. And the devil comes to try to discourage. He comes to say to you, why are you doing this? What's the point? Why are you doing this? You're seeing any fruit from it? Which is a lie, because we always see fruit from things that we do. And even though we may not see it right at that moment, there's fruit that's taking place. When you first plant a seed, say you first plant an apple tree, you don't see the fruit right away. It takes some time from that fruit to grow, to get root, and you need the water and the soil and to enrich it and cause it to grow. And what happens? It blossoms, grows up big and strong into these beautiful, strong, healthy fruit. So, Isaiah 40, 29 through 31. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I really believe this is a word from Yahweh for right now. Because, the devil has been coming full steam, if y'all haven't noticed, okay? And especially after the last few weeks. It seems like, when we mentioned this on Sabbath, it seems like one thing, that happens, and you deal with that, and like the next day another thing. Mom calls it the pile-up effect. And, if you don't handle the pile-up effect correctly, the pile-up effect can start to affect. And, and things just seem like they're piling up. And like I said, it's like, why am I even doing this? What is the point of this? Why, and that's the devil trying to create negative thoughts. And the biggest thing we got to do in times like that is we got to take the thoughts captive. Because you allow these thoughts to start to take root, the battle becomes that much more harder. And the devil wants nothing more than to make us weary, to wear us down, to try to tire us, to make us think, what is the point of this? It was interesting, I'll share a little bit about this, but it's like a question had come up like last week or whatever, and it really got me thinking and stuff. And it was like, this question is like, well, what is the value of anything? What is the value of life? And you can go down one of two roads with that. And so I sat there and I thought, yeah, what is the value? What is the value? What is the value of what I'm doing? What is the value of my life? What is the value of, the impact or whatever? And, you got to really examine things and realize, we do have a value, and we are making a difference. We are causing impacts to take place. And the devil will try to get you to think, there's no value to what you're doing. Really, what is your life about? Did you really think that you would be here at this point of your life? You're really, is this how you thought your life was going to turn out? Is this how you wanted your life to turn out? Is these your dreams? Blah, blah, blah. And he just comes at you with negative after negative after negative. And his whole goal is to try to wear you down. And especially when he's doing that and he brings an attack around this corner, an attack up from underneath, an attack down, from top and stuff, because he's trying to make you weary in well-doing. And that's why we have got to stand strong. We've got to realize that the limitless strength that our Yahweh has is the same limitless strength that we have. And it doesn't matter what we see. It doesn't matter what we hear. It doesn't matter how we feel. It doesn't matter what Joe Schmo says to us, okay? It doesn't matter if someone walks up to you and says whatever they say to you that's not too nice or whatever, and like we've been talking a lot lately, we're not wrestling against flesh and blood, right? There's real spirits that we're wrestling against. And, and these spirits' goal are to try to wear you down. And after a while, if you think about it, if you don't handle it correctly and don't realize that you are strong in the Lord and the power of his might, when you continue to have that little irritating, nagging spirit come up to you and be like, who do you think you are? Or you're this and you're that and blah, 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 blah. All right? And in reality, that's a powerless spirit, okay? And it's exactly what it is, a little nagging spirit that has no effect, no power, unless you give it to them. You give the devil the power and the access. He can't just come up to you and do anything to you. He just can't come up and just freely whatever. You give him the ability to do it when you align yourself with him. And you align yourself with him by the words of your mouth. You align yourself with him by actions, by attitudes. But when it comes down to it, we are strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. No matter what's going on. There's so much going on in this world today. So much going on in this nation. It seems like every day, and I've heard so many people say, is there any good news out there? Is there anything good? And you know what? There is. There is good going on out there. But it just seems like, there's one thing after another after another. But then you take personally, and it seems like the devil is one thing after another trying to attack. And like I said, his whole goal is to wear you down, to get you, like it says in Galatians, don't grow weary in well-doing, because in the end, you will reap a harvest. It's, you think about, there's always somebody watching us. Yes. Now, I know for myself, like as a mom, as a parent and stuff, I have a little one that's always watching me. And at times when the devil might come at me and be like, well, what's the point? Why are you doing this? I got to think to myself, but there's somebody watching me. There's a little one who's watching me that matters, who's watching me to see how I'm going to react, how I'm going to respond. The most important thing that you could do, and I think it was Kelsey had sent me that something along the lines of this. It's like, the thing that God has you doing, you got to remember what he has you doing, especially when it involves your children or your spouse, but like when it comes to your children, it's because you're raising somebody up and they're watching you. And we all know in this camp that we have a devil that would like nothing more than to get our children, because we have a special group of children in this camp of influence, and it ain't happening. It ain't happening, It's not happening. No ain'ts here. Okay? It's not happening. But the thing that we got to do is, like I said at the beginning, stay strong in the Lord and in the power of his might, and not grow weary in well-doing. And is it a fight? Is it a battle in the natural? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Especially where it seems like it's relentless. One thing after another after another. But the key to staying strong in the Lord and the power of his might is this word. Is spending time with Yahweh every single day. You ever notice that if you start to slack off on your word, you start to slack off in spending time with God and stuff, and it's a little bit harder to fight against an attack. It's a little bit harder to be, happy and in a good mood and all this. There's a reason, because this is life-giving. And when we spend time in this, it's giving us life. It's giving us the very life of the one who created us. And this holds the power for us to overcome everything. Anything and everything. So, but those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Isaiah 40, 29 through 31, has always been one of my favorite scriptures, so to speak. Because it's like, think of it. Scott did a teaching on eagles, a few years back. It was just amazing. And it's like, when you think about it, think of an eagle. An eagle is strong and bold and brave and courageous, when you see him like soaring and flying and stuff like that. And that's what he's telling us, to mount up with wings as eagles. Eagles have strong, powerful wings, and they can ride on the currents of the airstream, and it takes a lot to knock them off course. I mean, they could soar and fly through these storms, and nothing moves them. It doesn't say they shall mount up with wings like turkeys, okay? We'd be in some trouble if that was the case, all right? It does not say that. It says they shall mount up with wings like eagles. You think of how majestic an eagle is, how beautiful and just, you think of an eagle, and it's different when you think of, like I said, a turkey or a blue jay or, a chickadee, okay, something like that. An eagle, he's tough and strong, and the eagle knows who he is, okay? You look at an eagle's face, you ever notice the eyes of an eagle? An eagle always looks like, don't mess with me, you mess with me and I'm going to take you down. I never really, eagles always kind of just look like, "Rrr." You never really see like a smile on an eagle, they're always like, "Rrr." They got this look about them. There's this look like, yeah, don't cross me type of thing, okay? Because they know who they are. They know they're strong and they're majestic. And they're eagles. They're like, I don't know if I could say it this way, they're like the king of the birds, you know what I mean? Nothing messes with an eagle, You're a turkey, well, you end up on somebody's dinner plate, I guess. But eagles are a totally different story. So you mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run. All right, notice that. They shall run. You shall run and run and run and run. No matter how long you run, you shall run. Okay, it doesn't put a limit on that. It doesn't say, though, they shall run for a few weeks and then, boom, that's it. Oh, they shall run for 5 miles? No, they shall run. They shall run and not be weary. Okay, they shall walk and not faint. That's who we are. This is who Yahweh has created us to be. So it's time for you to soar with eagles and ride upon the high places of the earth. Isaiah was saying in these verses, Yahweh never gets tired. He has unlimited strength and wisdom. And if he has unlimited strength and wisdom, then we have unlimited strength and wisdom. In fact, strength is found in the wisdom of Yahweh. Weariness isn't necessarily tiredness of the body. The weariness most people experience is in their minds and attitudes. When a person becomes burdened, he carries the load, which includes worry, fear, anxiety, and challenges. Perhaps you are in a place of weariness and fainting. You have thought about giving up on what God has called you to do. There is good news. Yahweh does not run out of strength. There is no end to his wisdom and understanding. The good thing about Yahweh's strength and ability is that he wants to impart it into your life. He gives power to the faint because he intends for you to be powerful in the earth. Believers need to daily recharge their spiritual reserves to face the difficulties, temptations, pressures, stress, demands, and schedules. Does anything like that sound familiar? Okay. I think we all have demands and schedules, okay, and stress, and the natural tries to come, and pressure. If you try to be strong in the arm of your flesh, how many of us have been guilty of doing that? Okay, I got this. How many times do we hear somebody say, I got this? It's even something as simple as like, can I help you with that? No, I got it. As they're like barely walking with the thing, it's lowering down on them. If you try to be strong in the arm of your flesh, you will come to a point where you want to give up on life. Many people today who were once in church have gradually lost their communion and close fellowship with Yahweh. Their zeal for Yahweh has lessened to the point that the things of this world have become more attractive to them. When you lose your desire for Yahweh, something else takes first place in your heart. As you draw close to the Lord, the things of this world will lose their power and influence over you. It is time to wait on the Lord. Renew your strength and mount up with wings like eagles. Actually, it says mount up with wings as an eagle. Okay, that's what we're supposed to do. We got to mount ourselves up. We got to renew ourselves, and we do it by spending time in this Word. That's the only way we're going to renew ourselves, is been spending daily time in the Word with Yahweh, and we'll have this same strength. So, I wanted to read you a couple other translations of Isaiah 40. So Isaiah 40, 29 through 31, in the Amplified says, he gives power to the faint and weary, and to him who has no might he increases strength, causing it to multiply and making it to abound. Even youth shall faint and be weary, and selected young men shall feebly stumble and fall exhausted. But those who wait for the Lord, who expect, look for, and hope in him, shall change and renew their strength and power. They shall lift their wings and mount up close to Yahweh, as eagles mount up to the sun. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint or become tired. And what was I just saying at the beginning? The devil tries to make us weary. He tries to make us tired. But we have everything that we need right here, where he can't be successful in that. The Message says, in that same one, why would you ever complain, O Jacob, or whine, Israel, saying, Yahweh has lost track of me. He doesn't care what happens to me. Don't you know anything? Haven't you been listening? Yahweh doesn't come and go. Yahweh lasts. He's creator of all you can see or imagine. He doesn't get tired out, doesn't pause to catch his breath, and he knows everything, inside and out. He energizes those who get tired, gives fresh strength to dropouts. For even young people tire and drop out. Young folk in their prime stumble and fall. But those who wait upon Yahweh get fresh strength. They spread their wings and soar like eagles. They run and don't get tired. They walk and don't lag behind. That's what we're supposed to be. You know what? No matter what is going on, we have everything. He's already given us everything we need to overcome. He's created us as overcomers. He's created us as conquerors. That's what the Word says. He who is in us is greater and mightier than he who is in the world. We have everything we already need to overcome any work of the devil. I don't know about you guys, but it was like when Mom was doing her confessions on Sabbath, it was like, man, whoa. It really did. And it's like, we got to get our hands on those. And start saying those every single day, because that's the key. Those are our weapons. The devil can't touch us. He has no right to touch us. He has no legal right to make us try to be tired or weary or to try to give up or quit. He's the loser. He's the liar. He has no right to do these things. And if we just grab a hold of it, and those powerful confessions that Mom had, I mean, come on, look at Mom. Okay, look at Mom. If anybody, okay, if anybody, just saying, if anybody, but she's not anybody. How is she doing it? She's girding herself up. She's in the Word. She's saying those confessions, speaking them out every day so that the enemy can hear it. And like she said, or Jordan said, or somebody said on Sabbath, you know, when she wakes up in the morning, the first thing the devil says is, oh no. That needs to be his response to each and every one of us. But we've got to see it. We've got to know in ourselves that we're the ones that cause the devil to be like, oh no, I'm out of here. And he can't touch us. He's not supposed to touch us. Like Mom says, that ping off of our shield shouldn't even penetrate. You know, I had shared that thing about Billy, you know, through the last 2 years of COVID. She never got COVID. That really, I don't know, I can't really explain to you why or how, but that just one little statement, when I heard her say that, she never got COVID and she never will. And it was like, that is what we're supposed to be walking in. I need to grab a hold of that. I need to grab a hold of it because that's what we were intended to be on this earth. Okay, look at John G. Lake. You know, he had them put that froth in his hand. And what happened? It instantly died. That plague did not even penetrate him. And why? On all these, hundreds and thousands of people dying from this. But here's John G. Lake, because he knew who he was and whose he was. And he knew the power and authority that he had. He knew how to activate it. Knew so strongly that he had that determination and that boldness to see, put that stuff on my hand and let me show you who I am and who my God is. And that stuff died instantly. That's how we're supposed to be walking. That's how he created us. So the devil has no right. He can't just come, like Mom said, he can't come into my house. You know, there's no way. I mean, come on, can you imagine? All right, he even tried to, I know Scott and I would probably hear this shrieking and hollering and see this black thing running down the street in stark terror, okay? Because Mom got a hold of him. And that's how we're supposed to be. That's who we are. You know, and speaking to myself, we have got to get a hold of it. We've got to get a hold of it. We've got to be walking victoriously and successfully the way Yahweh has called us to. But we've got to realize that we've got to strengthen ourselves up. We've got to charge ourselves, recharge ourselves, renew ourselves. You know, like we talked about Zoe Life. And Zoe Life was, you know, the same ability as Yahweh himself. That's what we have. The same ability, you know, ourselves renewing and energizing, recharging every day. These are the things we're supposed to walk in right now for this time. You know, I was talking with somebody earlier and they made a comment to me, you know, and they turned to me and said, you know, we really were born at such a good time. Now, how many people would you hear really realistically say that? You know, well, really? Have you lived in the world lately? Okay. No, but you know what? He was right. He was right. Yahweh knew the ones that he had selected for this time. Just like Queen Esther, we were born for such a time as this. We were born for such a time as this. I really believe he had his selected ones, us being a big part of that, born for this time because he knew that we'd be strong in him. He knew that we were going to overcome whatever the enemy tried to do. He knew that we were going to be the ones that walked through the fire and not even smell like smoke. That the floods would come and we would not even get wet. He knew that while all the rest of the world may be having things happen to them financially and health-wise, you know, we'd be walking through with that shield around us, that impenetrable shield that doesn't even get penetrated. Because he knew, but we have our part to play. You know, it just doesn't happen by osmosis. Okay, all of a sudden, you know, I'm strong and okay, all is well. We've got our part to play. And it's by daily spending time in his word and spending time with him and getting these scriptures in us and getting these confessions and speaking them over us, you know, and we are strong in the Lord in the power of his might. My other main scripture for tonight was in Philippians. and we all know this one very well, Philippians 4:13. And I'm going to read you a few different translations and paraphrases for this one. But the NIV says, I can do all this through him who gives me strength. The NLT says, for I can do everything through Yeshua who gives me strength. The Voice says, I can be content in any and every situation through the Anointed One who is my power and strength. The Complete Jewish Bible says, I can do all things through him who gives me power. New English Translation says, I am able to do all things through the one who strengthens me. And I really like this one. The Message paraphrase says, I can make it through anything in the one who makes me who I am. Is that not good? Okay, that is so good. I can make it through anything in the one who makes me who I am. That is the truth right there. We can make it through anything because he's the one who has made us who we are. He's the one that has created us and birthed us for such a time as this. He's the one who sees in us. Everyone else always sees in you what you don't see, or they can see better about you or know about you and more than yourself. Think of that. He's the one who makes us who we are. That means we can walk through anything strongly with strength. And the Amplified says, I can do all things through Yeshua who strengthens me. And there's a part in that that says, he infuses me with inner strength. He infuses me. Think of that word, infuses. Every time I read that, it's like, he infuses me. I get that, it's like infuse. What does infuse mean? Infuse means to fill. All right, so think of that. He's filling us with strength. We're filled with strength from the top of our head to the tips of our toes. He infuses us. He fills us. Well, infuses also means, to steep. Well, think about something. He steeps you with strength, right? Well, what do you think about when you steep? Well, when you steep tea, I had a different definition. It had a different definition, but I'm going to use tea. All right, so you think about what do you do with tea? You steep tea. You put it in boiling water, and what does it say? You steep for 3 to 5 minutes. You can steep it for longer than that if you wanted to, but what happens as that time goes on? That tea's getting stronger. It's getting stronger and stronger. The flavor is becoming more abundant and flavorful and vibrant. And as each minute goes on, that tea is getting stronger and stronger. Well, Jordan came up with this earlier, and it's like, oh, that is so good. Well, think about it. The water of the Word. Steep yourself in the water of the Word, and you get stronger. The longer you steep yourself in this Word, the stronger and stronger that you get. Now, once you steep tea, and it's steeping for 3 or 5 minutes, it just keeps getting stronger and stronger. It never goes back weak, right? Unless you don't finish it and you let it sit there. What does it actually start to do? You ever gone back? Well, not that I make a habit of doing this, but if I make myself a cup of tea or whatever, and I'm drinking it and it's strong, and the longer I steeped it, the stronger taste I got and stuff. But if I just let it sit in my cup thing there, and I go back to drink it the next day, ew, right? Yeah, a big ew. Okay, it's yuck. What's happened to that tea? It's gotten yucky flavor. Okay, the flavor has just kind of like gone blah. Okay, it's just like a blah flavor. It's a weakened flavor. It's diluted into the water. Well, what would happen if you stop steeping yourself in the Word? Right? You stop steeping yourself in the Word, you start to get weaker. You start to be able to not to fight battles the way you're supposed to. That's why we got to stay steeped in this Word. So think about it. He infuses us with inner strength. He steeps us with inner strength. And that strength is only meant to get stronger and stronger. So strength. Let's go over what strength is. All right, so strength, the quality or state of being physically strong or mentally strong, the capacity to withstand great force or pressure or exertion. I think that's a good one, okay? We have the strength to withstand great force or pressure or exertion. Strength is also power and potency or toughness. Strength is endurance. Strength is vigor. Strength is the capacity to resist attack. That's a good one, okay? That is a good one. Get that in you. Strength is the capacity to resist attack. Strength is the capacity to resist strain or stress. You know, resist the devil and he will flee, okay? The capacity to resist strain or stress. We're supposed to be resisting stress, okay? And like I said at the beginning, stress comes. It's a natural thing, but it's how we handle it. And the devil's plan for stress obviously is not good, okay? And if you just know in the natural, you know, in the natural, stress does affect your body. Stress can affect all different things. It can cause all these different things to take place in your body, you know, and, you know, naturally speaking. And that's why we've got to resist it. We've got to be strong to resist stress, because the devil is going to try to bring stress. And actually, really, in the whole scheme of things, what we're stressing over, you know, 2 weeks from now, is it really going to matter? Okay? When the rapture takes place, it ain't, there I go again. None of it is going to matter again. None of it's going to matter. But we got to resist the stress, because the devil knows. And he's used it against many, many people. You know, there's people that, you know, no longer around because they didn't handle stress properly. And they allowed the stress to affect their bodies and their minds. And, you know, stress can cause, it's amazing. It actually is really amazing. When you look into it, it's amazing what stress can cause in your body. But we have the strength to resist it. We're supposed to be walking in the strength to resist it. The other thing with strength is it's the ability to deal with difficult situations. You know, these last three, I had stopped at vigor, and Holy Spirit was like, no, I want you to flip down a little bit more. And I just clicked on some dictionary thing that I never even heard of before. And I was like, what is this? I'm like, I've never even seen this type of dictionary thing. And it was like really deep in explanation of things and stuff. But that's where I found these last three. And like I said, I was going to stop at vigor. I was all set, move on, okay, let's go. But Holy Spirit was like, no, click down some more and click on it. It was this little tiny, you know how you have little blue links sometimes? I clicked on that and it popped up this whole, like I said, dictionary thing that I'd never even seen before. And it had those three definitions. The capacity to resist attack, the capacity to resist strain or stress, and the ability to deal with difficult situations. I would say that these three definitions right here are for this time. This is what we've got to realize why we need to be strong. Strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. We need to be strengthened. We need to be strong to resist the attacks. We need to be strong to resist the stress or strain. And we need to have the ability to deal with difficult situations. Difficult situations should not move us. And like I said, in the natural sometimes when it seems like one thing after the other, and it's like a pile-up effect type of thing, and you got to fight against some stuff sometimes. But if you're where you need to be, and you got to hold on who we are, and that we can do all things through the one who strengthens us, we can make it through anything. Like it said in the message, I can make it through anything in the one who makes me who I am. I actually have that now. It's like, boom, okay, I'm going to make sure I see that every single day. You know, because there's an opportunity every single day. There really is. There's an opportunity every single day. Sometimes as soon as you open your eyes in the morning, it's like that, it's that opportunity. And you gotta take authority over that. But you gotta realize who we are and who he's created us to be. You know, and these are just a few, few scriptures about strength. You know, go and do a study on all the different scriptures that there is about strength throughout the Bible. I would say that it does mean something to him. It does matter to Yahweh. Ephesians 6:10 says, in conclusion, be strong in the Lord. Be empowered through your union with him. You catch that? Be empowered through your union with him. You got to have union with him to stay strong. He's our source. Draw your strength from him, that strength which his boundless might provides. That strength is always going to come through. Always going to come through. If we stay strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. So I'm going to read you one last thing here. So in Exodus 13:17, Yahweh would not leave his people near the land of the Philistines. The New King James Version says, lest perhaps the people change their minds when they see war and they return to Egypt. And this is when we've got to switch from weakness to strength. Like the children of Israel, many believers today prefer to remain in captivity rather than face the responsibility and demands of battle. Sadly, too many Christians are losing battles to someone who has already been defeated. Think about that. How many Christians have lost the battle to an enemy that's already been defeated? The devil's already been defeated. Yeshua already defeated him from us. If more people just got a hold of that and thought, wait a second, I'm letting somebody who already lost try to win over me? He's already been defeated. He already lost the battle. Satan was crushed in Yeshua's victory. Our enemy cannot defeat us. He can only make us quit. You know, and we're big on this whole thing, you know, do not quit. Don't give up. Never, never, never give up. No matter what. Never, never, never give up. Quitting is not an option. And you know, that's been a mainframe in this congregation for a long, long time. Don't give up. Don't quit. You know, interesting, you know, this is Jordan's fault, but I was never into horses, you know, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I shouldn't say never into horses. I mean, when I was a little girl, a friend of mine, she had a horse, beautiful white horse, and her and I used to spend time. She used to ride him all the time, and she used to try to get me to get on the horse, and I was always like, yeah, no, I'm good type of thing. But we'd brush them and pat them, and we'd take them for the walks. They had trails all throughout the woods where she lived. I mean, we lived in a, you know, very wooded area in Maine, you know, not the deep woods of Maine, but we were pretty wooded in the country type of thing. And she lived right around the corner from me, and they had tons and tons of land. And they had this horse stable type of thing, and she had this horse, and we'd take them and, you know, walk them through the trails and stuff like that. So, but like I said, I never was like really one to have an interest in horse. I mean, obviously I didn't start riding horses and all that. But, you know, my interest in horses and stuff kind of that got re-sparked again when I met Jordan and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, horses are pretty cool and stuff. And used to go with her up to some of her lessons and everything. But, you know, one time Dad showed in here in the sanctuary a horse race. If you remember that horse race. And it was like, man, you know, I don't care how many times I watched that. I mean, you can just feel the excitement in you, and your whole body is like reacting to it. Well, you know, Saturday night, we go home and stuff like that, and I'm putting the TV on to turn it on to find something on Victory Channel. And, you know, it pops up on ours, it pops up on the normal TV first, and I have to switch it over to Roku. Well, the Kentucky Derby was on. And I was like, oh, man, right, just in time for the Kentucky Derby, you know, I wanted to see this. So, you know, we put on the Kentucky Derby. And, you know, I have to say, it's like you get all this excitement build up, and it's like, you know, 2 hours, and not that I watched it for 2 hours, I didn't. It was like the last 5 minutes of this whole Kentucky Derby. And it's this big thing about, oh, it's the race, and it's over in like 30 seconds. Like, oh, really? You know, but exciting, totally exciting. But they had a race, and, you know, they had the horse that's going to win. You know, everybody's like, this is our horse that's going to win. I don't recall what the horse's name, but everybody, he was the favored one. Oh, I was going to win and stuff like that. And then they had the second horse that he was favored to give the first horse a run for his money, literally, you know, and, you know, there's going to be one of these two horses. And then there was, of course, you always have the underdog, right? But we're all for the underdog, right? But they had the underdog horse who was not even, they weren't even going to enter him in the Kentucky Derby. Weren't even going to enter him in it because he was just, he had no potential. He just kind of was like, well, but they decided last minute to enter him into the Kentucky Derby. And this horse had a lot going against him. Here's the underdog horse, okay? So you have the underdog horse, you have the two top horses, you have the underdog horse, and then you have all the horses in between that are kind of towards the underdog and kind of towards the top. So they start the race and stuff, and it's like, you know, and this one particular horse, and I believe it was this horse, there was one particular horse that he was just giving his rider a hard time. He was just like, I don't want in that gate, you know, and he was like bucking and stuff, and they had to calm him down and everything. And I mean, the horse barely got in the gate, and the guy shot off the gun, and they're all off. And I'd commented to Scott, I'm like, man, they don't even give him a second to like adjust himself or whatever. It's like, boom, oh, there they go. And this race is going. And there these horses are going, and you got the underdog guy that's way in the back, and then you have a lot of the other horses that are kind of back, and then you have those two top horses. And it was like, oh, which one of these two tops are going? And they're like, you know, not quite neck and neck, but they're there. And then they had the third horse come up, and they're running, and they're going around the thing, and they're starting to come to the close, the finish line or whatever. And all of a sudden, that horse that was in the back, you hear the announcer going, whoa, wait a minute. I think his name was Rich Strike or Strike It Rich, or I don't know, something like that. Look at him. He's starting to move. And you see this horse, and you know, you see the rider, and this horse is like, boom, boom, going. All of a sudden, before you know it, now he was the last horse, okay? He was 15 horses behind. He had 15 horses in front of him. I mean, there was a space, like, say I'm the horse, and the rest of the horses were at that wall. That's how big the space was. But all of a sudden, you see him, and now he's in the group. But they're coming closer and closer to the finish line. And it's these other two, it's like, oh, no, it's one of these two. And all of a sudden, you hear the announcer, look at Rich Strike. And he's just making his move and coming along. And before you know it, he's right behind the two top horses. Now, the two top horses are like this. He's like this. And you're like, okay, well, how's he going to get around them? You know, he's not going to get around them. There's the finish line. They're almost there. And all of a sudden, you know, it was like the parting of the Red Sea. It was like all of a sudden, these two top horses kind of just like went like this. And at this time, Rich Strike was over here. And all of a sudden, you just see him like go around and then come back and go back around and just at the finish line. And Rich Strike just pulls right by those two horses and wins this race. 80-1 odds. The second largest in the history of horse racing. 80-1 yards. And I'm like, what? Yeah, check this out. And I can, you know, like I said, your whole insides are like, yeah. And it's like, yes, the underdog horse won. What an amazing thing. Like I said, he was not even going to be put in the Kentucky Derby. Okay? They had people being like, he's not a good horse. He can't run this race. All this negative stuff coming at him. Okay? But, I mean, bold to say that this horse was strong in the Lord in the power of his might, okay? And he had the Lord, you know, parting the Red Sea for him with these other two horses. And he came through and he took this race. First time being entered in the Kentucky Derby and winning it, okay? 80-1 odds. The second in the history of horse racing. The first one was like 91-1 odds, and it was back in like 1913, okay? So it was like, man, not quit attitude. And even the, what do they call them, jockeys? Even the jockey, he wasn't even like, you know, praised as some big time experienced jockey or whatever, you know. Even he had things coming at him that were kind of on the negative side. But him and this horse pulled through. And, you know, and he could see, you know, they show the replay a couple times before they actually end the entire program or whatever. And it was like, and you could see the determination in the jockey and the horse. But you could notice something different in the horse. It was almost like, I said to Scott, I'm like, wow, look at this horse. It was almost like he stretched himself way out. I mean, that rider, the jockey had him in such a sprint position. And you could see every might in this horse, every strength that this horse had. And, you know, horse, obviously, well, they kind of have no choice, but it's just looking straight ahead to their target. They're focused on that target. But in the prize, But that jockey was like, you know what? We're not quitting. We're not quitting. Imagine how that jockey felt as he's like starting to pass these horses, and all of a sudden the two top horses, I mean, he's right at their backside. He's right behind them, okay? And he's like, imagine how that jockey felt. I got this. I got this. And I guarantee you, he was talking to this horse. Come on, we got this. We got this. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Like the, facing the giants thing. Don't give up. Don't quit. I guarantee you that jockey, well, maybe I shouldn't guarantee because I don't know for sure, but I know if I was on that horse, I know if Jordan was on that horse, it'd be like, keep going. We got this. We got this. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't give up. And bam, what happened? Red Sea parts and shoo, right through and wins that race. That was a not quit attitude. Everything against them. All the odds. 80-1. Second in history. All this negative talk. Not even going to be put into the Derby. This is a loser horse, He's not going to get, all he's going to do is end up costing us money. No, he did a lot more than that for them. Okay? All because of a not quit attitude. He didn't give up. And that was a whole kind of rabbit trail that I completely went off on. Wasn't even in my thing. But it's only the enemy that can make us quit. And the enemy could not make that horse quit. That horse and his rider ended up being the winners. And ended up proving to everybody else, ha, you were wrong. Right? Ha, what you said about me, I just proved you wrong. Hallelujah. Well, we won't get too, prideful about that. When we come to the end of our strength and we are on the threshold of fainting, we can stir up the deposit of Yahweh within us. And they quote Isaiah 40:29-31 again. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Strength will increase as we wait on the Lord. To wait does not mean to remain passive until Yahweh moves. It means to bind ourselves together with Him, joining ourselves closely to Him in a confident and expectant way. As we do, our strength is renewed. The actual implication is that we will exchange our weakness for His strength. Now in the strength of the Lord, we stand strong in the day Satan challenges us. We are solidly founded in the Lord. Fearlessly, we draw upon the resources of heaven, confident that in the authority of Yeshua's name, we can command every attack of darkness to flee from us. This is what Mom was saying to us on Sabbath. James 4:7 says, be subject with implicit obedience to God at once and once for all. Stand immovable against the onset of the devil, and he will flee from you. First, we must set our faces toward Yahweh, filling ourselves with His word and His presence. Then refuse to move toward any desire, thought, or action which would be unwelcome in His presence. Satan's pressure cannot prevail against that solid stand. Instead, he will flee from us. The strong defense of our current position is vital, but it is not the total picture. We have been created for advancement. We all have a desire for increase. Yahweh never intended for us to hold our position without taking new ground. He has placed within each of us the spirit of a conqueror. The cry deep within us is that our union with Yeshua will draw us deeper into an intimate relationship with Him. The word of Yahweh within us hungers for victory and advancement. It takes an offensive to advance. Notice Romans 12:21 from Philip says, don't allow yourself to be overpowered by evil. Take the offensive. Overcome evil with good. Take the offensive. That's being strong in the Lord and the power of His might. So in ending, I'm going to quickly do this now. But in ending, I just wanted to look at two examples of strength in the Bible, of strong. And there's many. But I kind of got inspired, I guess, by Pastor George. I don't know if any of you saw him on EMIC on Sunday. He was doing this Mother's Day thing in Proverbs 31. And we got to, I think it was the virtuous woman. And it was actually, it's a woman of valor. And a woman of valor actually means a military woman, a woman of might and strength and stuff. Not leaving you guys out or anything, but I'm getting there. But so, two powerful people in the Bible. the first one that came to my thought was Samson. Okay, how strong was Samson? I mean, Samson took the jawbone, and what was it, donkeys that he killed? Took the jawbone and killed. I haven't killed any donkeys with a jawbone lately, but Samson was so strong, and he was empowered with strength. But where did he get that strength from? Yahweh. And now we know the story of Samson. It was in the, hair or whatever, and not in his hair, but, it was because of his strength wasn't in his hair. That would be some powerful hair. If Samson had long hair and he swung his head, poof, there goes Josiah, with his hair. But, you know what I meant, But Samson was a strong man, and he did things that most normal men did not do because he was infused with the strength from Yahweh that caused him to be victorious and defend Israel and take on the enemies of Israel. He was a strong, mighty warrior. And Samson was a judge, okay? So, but then, I'll let you guys have your male part in this. But then there was Deborah. And I think Mom might have mentioned Deborah a little bit on Sabbath. But, Deborah. There was Deborah, a warrior woman. And Pastor George was talking about Deborah on Sunday. So I just want to real quickly, let's look at the story of Deborah. So let's go to Judges 4. And I'll do this quick. So we're going to just jump down to Deborah, chapter 4, verse 4. So Deborah, the wife of Lapidoth, was a prophet who was judging Israel at that time. She would sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim, and the Israelites would go to her for judgment. One day she sent for Barak, son of Abinum, who lived in Kadesh in the land of Naphtali. She said to him, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, commands you. Call out 10,000 warriors from the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun at Mount Tabor. And I will call out Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, along with his chariots and warriors to the Kishon River. There I will give you victory over him." Barak told her, "I will go, but only if you go with me." Smart man, okay? Smart man. "I will go, but only if you go with me." "Very well," she replied. Now, remember this, Deborah was a prophetess. She was a prophetess, and she was the only female judge in the history of Israel. Okay? That spoke volumes. I mean, it still speaks volumes today. "Very well," she replied. "I will go with you. But," this part's kind of funny. It's like, well, I don't mean to put you down a notch here, but you will receive no honor in this venture, for the Lord's victory over Sisera will be at the hands of a woman. Okay? Hallelujah. Oh, yay, ladies, okay? "Be at the hand of a woman." So Deborah went with Barak to Kadesh. At Kadesh, Barak called together the tribes of Zebulun and Naphtali, and 10,000 warriors went up with him. Deborah also went with him. Now Heber the Kenite, a descendant of Moses' brother-in-law Hobab, had moved away from the other members of his tribe and pitched his tent by the oak of Zananim near Kadesh. When Sisera was told that Barak, son of Abinum, had gone up to Mount Tabor, he called for all 900 of his iron chariots and all of his warriors, and they marched from Harosheth Hagoyim to the Kishon River. Then Deborah said to Barak, "Get ready. This is the day the Lord will give you victory over Sisera, for the Lord is marching ahead of you." So Barak led his 10,000 warriors down the slopes of Mount Tabor into battle. When Barak attacked, the Lord threw Sisera and all his chariots and warriors into a panic. Sisera leaped down from his chariot and escaped on foot. Then Barak chased the chariots and the enemy army all the way to Harosheth Hagoyim, killing all of Sisera's warriors. Not a single one was left alive. And then we read the rest of the story, and we know he goes into a tent, and there's, tent peg and, type of thing. Not the Sisera, but meanwhile, Sisera ran to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, because Heber's family was on friendly terms with King Jabin of Hazor. Jael went out to meet Sisera and said to him, "Come into my tent, sir. Come in and don't be afraid." So he went into her tent, and she covered him with a blanket, and then we know what happened to him. Okay, we know the story of what ended up happening to Sisera, And, may I just point out, at the hands of a woman, okay? Just saying. So, verse 23. So on that day, Israel saw God defeat Jabin, the Canaanite king. And from that time on, Israel became stronger and stronger against King Jabin until they finally destroyed him. Okay? That whole, in all seriousness, that whole thing took place because of Deborah. All right? And Deborah, out of all the biblical women in the Bible, Deborah was the one who emerged as an exceptional military leader. She was fearless and obedient to Yahweh. She led the Israelites to victory and out of bondage. She was a powerful woman in that time. And back in that day, that wasn't something that was widely took place or accepted or whatever. But it is estimated that her leadership lasted 60 years, which back then was a long time for a female to hold on to power. 60 years was a long time. Her leadership was accepted and appreciated both by men of all ranks and women. Deborah was considered, she was a warrior and a general, and she broke all barriers. Okay, Deborah broke all barriers. She was a warrior woman who was strong and stood up. She was an example of bravery, strength, and the epitome of power. And that's how we're all supposed to be, guys included. I'm not calling you females or anything, but that bravery and that power and that strength, just like with Samson and Deborah, an epitome, that's what it's supposed to be, of strength and power and bravery. And look at Deborah, she took on the enemy. Okay, not really herself taking it on, she had the man go and do it, but taking on the enemy fearlessly. She knew who she was and whose she was, and she was strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Samson was strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. And you got many, many other examples in the Bible of strong people. Even some that we don't ever really hear about and stuff like that. What was her name? The lady that helped Paul. Lydia. She was a businesswoman, right? Lydia was a strong, brave woman. Okay, she took in Paul. She welcomed him into her home. She was a businesswoman who sold purple linen, purple cloth. And what do we know purple is? It's the color of royalty and all that. She was a strong businesswoman. She had it going, okay? And she took in Paul and welcomed into her home, which was at great risk. But she was another example. And you don't hear ever about Lydia, okay? But she was a strong, brave woman. And there's many examples all throughout the Bible, men and women who exerted this strength and this power because they knew who the God of Israel was. And they knew that when they got in position, that the God of Israel had their backs and had them covered. And when they went out to battle, they were sure to overcome the enemy every single time because they followed in his ways. Proverbs says that, the way of the Lord is strength and a stronghold to the upright. It's his way that is a strength to us and a stronghold to us to be able to overcome anything the enemy throws our way. But especially in these times when he tries to throw, like I said at the beginning, weariness and trying to quit or whatever, we need to rise up and remember, we can do all things through Yeshua who gives us strength, through the one who infuses us, who steeps us with this strength. And we are strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Amen. Well, thank you for all of you out there on Facebook. I hope you gathered something out of this tonight, and have a blessed week, and we will see you on Sabbath at 11 o'clock.